Diplomats, where, well, we don't put our podcast out as frequently because there's a lot of breaks in this game, which makes it suck in many ways. But it's been like 4 or 5 days, and now we're here to talk about Fall 1903. I'm Go Horns Go. Our podcast is sponsored by diplomacybriefing.com. I've got my usual compadres here, Audacious Hand and Superstition from the Nexus Discord server. We are here to talk about this game. Before we go to the moves, is there anything you want to talk about?
Well, there's been, one thing I've been enjoying about this season in spite of the slow pace is that I feel like, you always have something of a bloodthirsty mob in public chat of spectators, but I feel like this year's are especially just bloodthirsty and rowdy, which I've been enjoying. And I did enjoy how my invoking the famous season 1 Christmas Day stab on Bobo brought a bunch of the old, somewhat sociopathic Nexus heads, out of the woodwork. And
I gave it my comment of the day before I saw any reactions to it. Then the number of reactions may make it comment of the podcast, at least to date. It's an A++.
I mean, I think that Bobo really encapsulated the brutal spirit of early Nexus, in the sense that his just absolute disgust at taking breaks, as well as him repeatedly invoking how in season 3, we had a consensus to delay the beginning of the finals, which was because of a health crisis, and I had to watch I had to help my family over Christmas and the holidays. But
it'd be like, take a week, take 2 weeks.
But we didn't take in-game breaks, and it actually was a great change because it changed the horrible tradition of having to play the Nexus finals over Christmas. But the funniest thing is I didn't actually mean this as I meant this almost more as a provocation than a condemnation of these breaks. I remember the only person in those season 3 finals who was vehemently opposed to letting me start later was actually Pez. And I remember him making this elaborate metaphor where he compared the Nexus finals to the Tour de France, and how even if you fall off your bike on a cliff and die, or you lose your leg, the race must go on, and it's how it's just this battle of endurance as you climb these hills of suffering, which I found that very amusing at the time. And he did actually isolate himself somewhat by opposing the delay, which I wonder if he learned from here. But I'm not one thing I actually enjoyed this more because it brought these season 1 sociopath finalists out, and it reminded me of how just some of the most ruthless and kind of players were in that. It was Bobo, Umble, who were both just complete whack jobs who would stab their own grandmother. And who else was in there? Oh, Leukemia, can't forget him. One of the most savage players out there.
Iozers, who I made quit.
Losers, who he was a quiet but ruthless player too. So it was nice to see that little upsurge. But the 2 reasons why I don't really critique all these breaks is I saw some of these people who'd been eliminated in the regular season saying, "Oh, we should have been able to take breaks. This isn't fair." Well, I'm sorry. This is a star-driven league, okay? LeBron or Messi, they're not going to go out with COVID protocols. So the stars get treated with some respect. Also, though, I think every game of diplomacy is really its own world. And I'm a big fan of letting the players in the game kind of shape how the game is played through their own consensus and their own kind of meta politics over how things should be. For instance, that season one, I forgot Stitches. You were drawn and quartered in that game by those sociopaths. That must have been unpleasant. Yeah. But, that would have never flown. But if that is the character of this game and they do have a consensus, I do like it. Sabi said that some people should lose centers, and though that might have been a joke, I actually kind of like that. If I was in this game, it would be interesting to kind of, if there is discontent about all the breaks, come together and as a board decide to punish someone. That's, I like the politics of how the game is played and the game itself to kind of interlink. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think?
Definitely the crowd doesn't like it. It's probably great for the players. I remember, you have to balance your life with it. You can be like, oh, I can't come to bed tonight. I gotta do some negotiations.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's nonstop. There was no breaks back in the day, so it didn't matter. There was no good time. It was the entire time, all the time. It was like stress. Everything was on fire.
Free playing vacation. Okay, I get it with Philip. July 4th, when majority of the players aren't American. I mean, I'm just like stunned. I mean, I'll be looking up every holiday there is. Okay. If that's the case, I agree it's good for the players, but
well, I mean, it does.
Canadian.
Yeah. Canadian, Italian,
Croatian.
Yeah. Well,
two Canadians. Riaz is Canadian.
I mean, you got to admire the power of our great nation's cultural imperialism. I will say though, I mean, you can't delude yourself either in thinking that it's necessarily great for all the players equally, or that it doesn't affect the game. For instance, if someone just gets stabbed and there's a long break, they're going to have time to cool off, realize it's just a game, and they will act differently than, because these games, as both of you guys know, when you have you're living with these people day after day for a month, talking to them for hours a day, things do get heated and emotions run high. In fact, I'm a little worried that all these breaks might end the Nexus tradition of having the game end with long-term animosities and kind of destroyed online friendships and that take months to heal.
Or a year and a half for me. But I think Sabi's point, another point Sabi made was, adjudication is paused, but they can communicate on Discord. And I'm willing to bet a lot of them are communicating on Discord.
That is against the rules to talk about the tournament. So
on Discord?
Yep. Well, they can use Discord, but not during the pause. So it's an honor system, but as far as I can tell, no one's talking about the game.
Oh, I thought I read a post earlier where there was a question whether Discord could be used, and they said yes for the
Discord can be used, but they're not allowed to use it during the pause.
Oh, during the pause. Okay.
Yep. They can only use Discord when they could actually use it in the game.
I did enjoy Pez's comment when he said that they were talking over Discord, but only about philosophical matters such as Parmenides and how time doesn't exist and thus the break does not exist. I would love to see, if people are obeying the letter of the law, I would be very amused if there was some like poetic, metaphorical, plausibly deniable flourishes and seemingly innocent, just socializing between people. I think it's naive. It's very naive to say that it doesn't affect the game. It most certainly does.
If I was a player, I'd avoid all contact just because you don't want anything to reflect on that if something does come up. So same thing with talking to players that aren't in the game. You can, even if you're just loading, you could solicit unwanted advice, and that could be considered coaching. So yeah, just if you're a player, don't talk about the game at all outside of public chat.
Okay, let's reset the game here. We are now about to look at the fall 1903 moves. This is the way the board was. If I recall correctly, Austria had made a move towards Italy, then turned back towards Russia. Italy went to defend, took Greece with Turkish help. Germany made this move into the Baltic that we were wondering what that was about. We bandied about a couple of theories. France built the fleet in Brest after taking Belgium. And England finally got into Holland. So here's what happened in fall 1903. Stitches, you always like to go to Turkey. So got some good news for Turkey.
Oh, yeah, he got his build. He trusted Russia, which was a little rough, but I guess he had to. I don't know. I probably wouldn't, but it worked out for him here. I'm a little upset that Italy didn't help him, especially after the support into Greece. But for the most part, yeah, pretty good moves.
For that, I think Italy deserves a fleet in Smyrna.
Right.
So why do you guys think he went in with the fleet and grounded it rather than pushing the army into Bulgaria?
Probably because he couldn't get Italy on board for the support. He probably felt uncomfortable and wanted to ensure the build so it didn't get tapped.
That's probably right, but a fleet south coast is not great.
I have some different theories about that. For one, by going in with the fleet, he can build an army in Smyrna, which could force Ankara, even if Russia decides not to let him have it, which I could see that happening. Second,
it protects Khan.
There's something suspicious going on, I think, between Turkey and Austria here. So going into the Aegean, going from the Aegean, if let's say Italy had decided to tap that support, that would be a way for Italy to protect Austria.
It also protects Constantinople, so Russia can't take it from behind again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's definitely part of it as well. I don't think he wants to, but still, putting that fleet there means he cannot help with the campaign against Austria.
Right.
And if you look at Austrian moves, it's really bizarre, especially for Pez, who's such a precise person. There's actually a misorder, right? So Serbia is supporting Bulgaria, but Bulgaria is moving. You guys notice that?
Uh-huh.
I sense that there might have, maybe it was just a mistake. I sense that there's some misdirection. But it almost
looks like he wanted, I think he may have gotten it back with Italy, right? But then the moves over Venice make no sense.
I think that what happened here was, I think that Turkey and Austria might have been hoping that that they could suck that fleet in Greece into the Aegean saying that it was going to break the support, and then Austria would slip into Greece.
On the surface, you would think that Serbia would be supporting Bulgaria to Greece instead of just supporting it to hold.
Well, that would be if it was an actual misorder. He accidentally just said support Bulgaria except to Greece. It's just misorders in the finals always perk my ears a little bit. I feel like there's something going on. Like he was hoping to walk into Greece maybe and then have Italy think it was a mistake or something of that sort.
Reminds us of Poser Tom's misorder last in season 5 finals.
This one at least is a little more believable. That one was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. It wouldn't have mattered because Romania is breaking support. So
yeah, it wouldn't. I think it's pretty clear that it could have just been he didn't care, because I think it's pretty clear that Austria knew that he didn't have anyone on board. He was going to lose both those centers to me.
Well, we should talk about Austria here. Loses Bulgaria, loses Greece, and decides to try and help France in 2 ways, into Munich and into Venice. Venice not succeeding.
I mean, again, this is a few steps, but what I interpreted his original move to Bohemia to be was a climb to Silesia. And if he could have pushed Russia out of Galicia or climbed to Silesia here. So in that sense, if he hadn't been getting 2 disbands, it would have been actually a nice encirclement tactically. But I think that this is a lot of conjecture, I know, but I think once he realized the diplomatic situation was such that he was going to lose 2 centers, he basically has to disband Bohemia, so Bohemia can no longer climb up there. And so he needs an army threat coming from the west. And
I get the support into Venice just to keep it empty, but I don't really understand helping him into Munich.
I had the same reaction at first because it seems like a move to Silesia or using that to take Galicia would be so much better.
Yep.
But he's going to have to disband something anyway. So he probably would have to disband that unit. And in that sense, I think that was his original plan, but because things went wrong and Italy continues to be completely uncooperative, he decided that he needs the Entente to provide the crisis situation in which Russia will actually need him. Pez actually directly told me that he will not engage with people. He will make them desperate enough to need him, which is kind of the situation here. As for the support to Venice was amazing. Such a good outcome for him. There's nothing threatening Trieste now.
Well, Russia gets a build. I mean, Italy gets a build.
Yeah, Italy does get a build.
So theoretically, I'm going to assume it's a fleet, but I don't know. But something could be built in Venice. Dave Miletsky on the comments. One of them I had here. Well, I guess I don't have it. It's a really dangerous position for Austria to be influencing the other side of the board by, helping them. It's very destabilizing.
But that's precisely what he needs to do because he is in a really bad state. He's surrounded by enemies in a true testament to his, at times, more abrasive character. He can't find any allies in his attempt to create an ally by force, backfired spectacularly. So now he's forced a crisis. England and France has been many centers as Italy, and Russia combined. These are good players, and they know if they, unless they can, I think, the other option would be them just taking Austria out and bringing Turkey forward, but then you have a powerful Turkey behind your lines, and there's no guarantee those armies are going to get to the front fast enough. So he's manufactured a crisis where he's down to 4 centers, but rather than those 4 centers being easy pickings, they are needed. It's just, to me, it's an amazing combination of playing the board-wide dynamics, conducting them as if they were a sublime orchestra, and just an absolute utter failure in his charm offensive and his ability to make friends around him.
But I mean, even threatening Venice is just a bad play. I think he would have been in a much better position had he not. But
yes, that's for sure. You mean, yeah. I do wonder what's going on there because I remember he's supporting to Tyrolia. I've been turning that over in my mind still. I think he was trying to spur Italy to help him by force because he had no one. He had no one to help him with Russia. It also, I don't know. You remember Russia and he were very, very briefly working together for one turn.
They both play very transactionally, but I don't think Turkey and Italy like to play transactional. I mean, they will if they have to, but
I agree with that.
Meanwhile, just sort of shifting south, or south and west. Italy. I mean, something happened with Italy and France here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Italy's moving to Western Med. France is not moving to Western Med, but certainly in a more defensible position towards Italy. And France is trying to take Venice. There appears to be, word got out to Italy and France that they're supposed to be fighting.
Yeah, it's definitely something out there because they were just working together to keep Venice safe. France seems like this weird peacekeeper. It's flipping sides now. But yeah, Italy obviously had the writing on the wall that he was going to go for Venice, so he needs to protect West.
I guess the move to Western Med was in case France tried for it.
And it could have been circumstantial.
I think it was a block, a premature block. I don't think Italy was actually trying to aggress France here.
Italy feels very neutral to me. It's like they didn't do anything with Greece. They're just trying to protect their center. They're trying to keep everyone out of West. I was just like,
I think that I don't understand. I mean, I would be annoyed about the feints towards Venice, but and I do believe in taking vengeance. I think that people need to remember that they should think carefully before even trying to slow you down. But like I'm actually not disappointed he didn't support Turkey. I think he should have supported Austria's fleet in Bulgaria. That fleet's not a threat to him, and if they don't find some common ground, they're, like I said last episode, I mean, just pumping up Turkey and France is not a winning strategy for Italy.
Why would Italy want Turkey to get bigger?
No idea.
I think it's the blue flame of rage.
The only thing I can think of is, supporting Turkey right now is probably going to be at Russia's demise. Because more than likely, Turkey's got to focus on getting its home centers back first.
All right, let's look at these French moves. Hey, by the way, one thought that went through my mind, but I don't believe my thought, is that both supports by Austria for France were unwanted.
A double malicious support, you would have to be guessing really right. I don't think so. I think that what happened was I don't think he has a double malicious support.
No, I think France would have prioritized trying to get Roar or something if he didn't have that support.
That's why I ultimately, and it would have made no sense against Venice anyways if he didn't. I mean, why would Piedmont move to Venice unless he thought he had Austrian support for that? I'm not sure why France would move to Venice, even knowing he had Austrian support, because you would have had to assume Italy wanted two on Venice. That's why this Italian move to Western makes no sense, because I think Italy would have normally built him, but I don't know. I can't work it out.
Oh, I mean, I think that's just good cooperation between Austria and France. France knew he was getting Munich, and Austria wanted Venice clear and asked him to support him. Tried to support him there. To be honest, when I look, we can get to this a little more when we get to England too. When I look at what happened to Germany this turn, it's not just that one person lied. This is a multi-power. At least France and England, probably Austria, wove an alternate reality for him.
Do you think Austria tried to get an AT going, and maybe he thought that he was going to get support into Greece from Turkey, and that Turkey would just walk into Bulgaria?
I think that's also a possibility. I think it's either that or they were trying to juke him out of Italy out of Greece with and that the support to Bulgaria was just a throwaway move to try to kind of put a smokescreen on what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Or get Italy to tap Aegean, but yeah.
Exactly.
He was not planning on a Italian build. They wanted Venice clear.
But I do think his moves, his manufactured crisis with this by superpowering the Entente does indicate to me that I think he might have been hoping that, but knew pretty definitively that neither Turkey nor Italy were going to help him this turn at least. I do think Turkey might turn on Russia soon, but we'll see.
Yeah, Austria is trying to force a Russian ally, I think.
All right, so back to the French moves. I mean, obviously, a successful season. France gets into Munich, into Burgundy. The fleets are in a better spot. Good old.
I know all those armies just suck, don't they?
Well, when Austria supports you to Munich, they look great. Now he looks like a genius. So good job.
Built a fleet before, but Fleet Marseille is what I suspect will be built.
Most likely, that's what I would build.
I think so. And Italy
is just too cagey to trust, and you're already got some decent position, so might as well push it.
Yeah, Italy really has. It might be just his history with Pez, but he really has commitment issues. At least that's what I see reading these moves. And I understand he feels prickly about people telling him what to do, and probably that's he doesn't like when people tell him not to be cautious, but you do have to open up and take some risks at some point. He's almost playing a little bit like Ewok last season. As for France's moves, they're almost perfect. I will say that if he had gone to North Africa and put the Gascony army in Spain to protect, and also to be part of that Mediterranean attack group as a convoy, I think that would have been a little better, just because he could have be sure to force Tunis next turn. But
Burgundy.
Yeah, but Burgundy's really good too, exactly, as like a defensive move, especially if he's worried that Austria might turn on him. I am starting to suspect that maybe Austria, France, and England have been talking pretty extensively.
Well, also, if you move the army from Gascony to Spain, you got the Ruhr army to worry about in Burgundy. France is in. I think it's a great set of moves.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of another great set of moves, we're England. Well, we know what that Baltic fleet for Germany was doing, supporting himself against his only ally in Sweden. We hypothesized that would happen. Leaving north. By the way, the only time North Sea moves apparently is to Denmark. Denmark moved to North Sea like 17 times in a row, and failed. But North Sea takes Denmark, and I love the fact that Holland is unoccupied. Although I think that's going to be a problem. Maybe not the way they're coordinating, but to build England.
Very good for England. I don't know if Germany was deceived by, a carrot, but I don't blame Germany for the most part. I mean, he had to take whatever deal he was offered. I've played with Ewok before, and it's pretty much you're trying to make this person your ally, and if he's not doing anything, you might as well get something from him, because at this point, they're just grind stabbing Germany. It's like you're going to lose if no one helps you, so you got to take whatever you get.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a stab of this magnitude from so many different directions. Again, I think that this was a group effort to control the flow of information in such a way that Germany sincerely believed in this reality where he was going to get. It looks like he thought he was going to get Belgium and Sweden. I think it's pretty clear that England was the kind of primary direct person.
Yeah, but I bet Austria was helping him. I think it was an English.
Definitely. Yeah, it was an English-Austrian deception, right, with pretending like France was out of the loop. Probably France kind of demonizing themselves, plays the bad cop. The other two kind of intervene, manufacture some falling out between the ententes, and you have to. This has to be in a few layers to be deceivable to be believable by a good player. I think it's pretty obvious that Germany thought he was getting a support into Belgium, and that he was getting Sweden. And again, hope is a dangerous drug, right? Like, he really thought he was getting 2 builds here, and he even cleared Kiel and Berlin to build. It would have been great, but it's probably part just exhaustion at being pounded over and over every turn.
Germany down to 2. Germany down to 2.
Yep.
I don't even know what Germany keeps.
Definitely Berlin and the Baltic, I think.
I'll keep my fleets.
I would keep Berlin in the Baltic because, first of all, it's somewhat defensive in the sense you can just defend Berlin, but that's also what people would expect. But you can also convoy around to kind of, like, for instance, if you think Kiel is going to go to Berlin, you just Berlin convoy to Kiel, and you can, like, switch places, and you can mess around with what's going on. Or you can just, support into Kiel, or, there's all sorts of things. I wouldn't completely give up the land presence. I will say, I just can't say enough about how much I really admire and think that this was a great turn for Great Britain.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember just last podcast, I was talking about this, what Russia's doing in the north, which is just pinning down that fleet in Norway indefinitely without ever really helping his ally or his ostensible ally, Germany. And I was saying how it's like, oh, I can't believe England tolerates this. If it was me, I would be so annoyed. I can't believe he's not incredibly annoyed. Well, I think it turns out that he was, and that he resolved to do something about it here. Now, he's not attacking Russia here, but I think Russia's about to feel the heat and the consequences of thinking that this situation in the north could last forever, and that he could just keep it locked down with 2 units. He could sacrifice St. Petersburg to a fleet, which wouldn't be the worst outcome in the world, but unless he can really turn Germany into an absolute selfless janissary, he really needs to get an army into Moscow, Sevastopol into Moscow, I think, next turn.
I'm a little surprised that Sweden retreated to Finland and not Bothnia. Both can get cut.
It's just, that's an incorrect move. I'm just assuming he's going to disband it.
I think that this is the message to Tanjian. Because if Russia's my ally, he better be disbanding the Black.
So what's his message? I'm not disbanding the Black?
Keeping his options open. He's Ewok.
Well, Finland
Maybe he went to Finland because he thought Sweden would get disbanded.
I think that, but okay, there's absolutely no tactical reason to move to Finland with that fleet, and it's almost a move so bad that
to support Sweden would have to move. Baltic is way easier to move. I think he's just banking on the fact that Sweden might be disbanded.
Well, so what? I don't understand. The Bosnian gives you so many more options. It's ridiculous to move to Finland.
I would have gone to Bothnia.
It's. I really don't think there's any actual. I'm actually all for different styles and different philosophies, but there's sometimes when a move is just pretty clear cut, and here.
I would have gone to Bothnia too, but we all know that Germany most likely is going to keep Baltic, which can cut support to St. Petersburg if he's working with England. So at least buys him a turn to move to Moscow.
He's not going to, unless he's doing an absolutely massive throw, which I don't think is the case, there's absolutely no way it's going to work with England.
I know. It's just, that's the only spin I can put on it.
Since, Ewok seems to be able to get people on board after he stabs them. You really think he's going to lose control of someone who is just,
I don't know.
taken into an illusionary world and just woke up covered in dirt and blood the night after, just wondering what happened. Like, I don't think so. Finland is actually a really bad move if he does keep that, because like what he needs to do is he needs to finally put that damn army into Finland and move up to Moscow. Like I loved his moves last turn, but my biggest gripe with him is he is so cavalier with the North, and he could have had Scandinavia locked down quite a long time ago. Yeah, so I almost think maybe it's a move so bad that he's going to have to go to Turkey and say, "What can I do? I have to disband Finland. It's in the way."
All right, do some housekeeping here. What does Italy build? First of all, we went over Turkey. We just, hand is kind of someone's foreign army. I think a fleet. What does Italy build?
You think a fleet?
I'd like an army to give me more defensive capabilities.
Why would you build a fleet as Turkey now? All you're going to do is spook. You're going to spook Italy.
Italy, who didn't help me? What do I care? Right.
Yeah, well, but what's the point of spooking Italy? You're not going to force centers from Italy right now. Yeah, I guess it's possible. I would not trust Russia to that degree. You need that army, and for once, Austria will actually be happy for you to build an army, which is
if you build a fleet in Smyrna, Russia's not going to cover Ankara. You can take it anyways.
Maybe.
Why would you not cover it?
You didn't cover it this time. No. Italy builds what?
It's a tough one though.
I would build in Venice, but I think I'd do the stupid thing and build the fleet in Venice just to piss off Austria.
That's insane.
Well, it threatens Trieste. It might pull you back, so you can actually go to Adriatic and bounce.
Right. I mean, that would be the spiteful thing to do, Stitches. So it does sound like you.
Yeah, I mean, it almost guarantees you get control of Venice back with your army, and you're maybe a turn out going through Adriatic.
I mean, it is true having a fleet in Adriatic but it's like you cannot. See, this is where I think Pez is making a mistake. He's been doing the same thing all game. He is just relying on people's. It's Hobbes, when he was writing Leviathan, there's a part where he talks about how people need to be taught to fear death. Actually, the human nature is not to fear death, but to like charge blindly to your death. And he's assuming that Italy is going to eventually react to this crisis he's manufactured, but he hasn't reacted to any kind of board any kind of force. You need to use, and like you said, Stitches, that empathetic approach. You need that too. You cannot only rely on force. So I am a little worried there. But if Italy does want to survive,
he needs a fleet in Naples.
He needs a fleet in Naples. Yeah.
Fleet Naples.
Yeah. Even then, he's kind of screwed.
He needs a fleet either way, but yeah. Naples is the more intelligent play. Yeah, Venice would be very petty.
Especially since I think France is building fleet Marseille.
Correct.
England with 2. Difficult choice. Certainly an army, I would think, in Edinburgh.
Yeah. Army Edinburgh, probably for the convoy.
Fleet London?
Fleet London.
For the North Sea.
For the North Sea. That's what I'd do.
That's definitely what first goes to my mind.
Could be Army Liverpool.
It could be Army Liverpool. It doesn't really make a difference. But this is also my idiosyncrasies talking, but I think there is a case to be said for building 2 fleets. And the reason I say that, and this is actually where France has to watch out too, even though first of all, let me make this clear. Even though I do think that a French stab on England last spring would have been very effective and probably was France's last chance if he had wanted to take England out without too much blood, sweat, and tears. I am not one of these people who's just calling for blood between them. I love their cooperation. I like that it's deepening. I like that, you know, and I actually like the kind of what I perceive here as information control and kind of theater, creating what you want on the board, almost more than I like, you know, complex, super risky cooperation like France in the North Sea convoying through Helgoland Bight and stuff. So I have no desire to see that break apart at all. However, one of the problems with the EF is always what happens when England gets Scandinavia.
Yeah.
In a 10-year game, England, there's really only one path. I mean, he doesn't need to solo. That is worth remembering, but there's only one path forward in a 10-year game for England, really. I mean, you know, with some exceptions, right? You can like end up with like an army in Munich or something. And in that sense, I think overbuilding fleets with an eye towards having your spider web of convoys in place for the kind of final battle, if I'm trying to win as England, is almost more valuable than simple kind of short-term gains by getting more armies in there.
You're not going to get a solo, so getting all those armies on the ground doesn't make as much of a difference.
Yeah.
Controlling all the seas.
Well, historically 10 centers wins this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's going to be higher if there's EF continued cooperation here.
Mm-hmm.
But
and the other argument is just I'm just maybe a little obsessive, but I hate having my armies wait on the islands for even one turn if I trust my ally, which I think they should. I think they should continue to trust each other more. I was kind of disappointed by the Yorkie kind of trembling, scared of France opening. So I think there's something to be said for that. However, two fleets, if I was France, might alert me for the same reasons a little bit.
Right.
I love the English position at this point with the two builds.
So good. Oh, I also wanted to address one.
I mean, he's going to get another two theoretically, right? Sweden and Holland. You can set it up perfectly for a stab.
It's amazing. I disagree so much. I saw multiple people claiming that his move out of Holland was a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake either, in the sense that it was an error or that it was unintentional. I have no idea what they're talking about. By moving to Kiel, he gives Germany another disband.
Right.
You know, if you're going to do this to someone, if you're going to lie to this level, you need to eliminate them. You know, at best, maybe you can risk trying to get a one army Janissary.
Kiel's powerful too. It's a powerful position.
Exactly.
And especially if anyone thinks Riaz wasn't playing, go listen. The Diplomats covered the May-June Speedboat League finals from Nexus. And at the end, there was an after-action report. Riaz won the May-June League. And I interviewed him and the other players. And he was very much like, well, thanks, but the big game is the main event. It's the press game. I'm putting all my efforts into that. There's nothing I want more. He's extraordinarily motivated, and he talked about how motivated he was to win this game.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's like your army, having an army on the continent is a luxury. I mean, the farther he pushes it forward, the more he affects distant battlefields and can kind of manipulate distant parts of the board and keep them conflict, the better. That army's not it's not worth much to me as a defensive army in Holland. So I think it's a great move all around.
Okay. And pretty much a disaster for Russia. Talking of Yorkies, I think Russia has to disband the black.
You think he's got to disband the black?
He's not going to.
I don't think he will. I think he's got all his chips in the south.
I think No, I think he disbands the Northern Fleet. I mean, who knows? He seems to have a. Do I fetishize Finland, or do other people see this too? That you need an army in Finland to lock down. That's to me. It's just I've just been in such grinding guerrilla wars in the north, and having an army in Finland has always been the key to just locking it down indefinitely. To me, that fleet's not doing much. Germany's probably going to be on his side. Put that army in Finland, bring one up to Moscow, and keep everything else. That the fleet can help defend the south. It's important defensively.
I think he gives up the fleet in Finland, and pretty much blows up England, so that France will have to stab.
I just don't disband the fleet in Finland. The Northern Fleet's too valuable.
He did it last time.
It's definitely not valuable now that it's sitting in Finland.
Okay, let's try and do this segment a little more quickly. Grades. Turkey's grade. Stitches.
C.
C?
C.
I think you didn't put the army in?
I think he made tactical good moves for if he's going to gunboat it, but I don't think he acquired any diplomatic favor or did any negotiations that really helped him dramatically. So yeah, I mean, shit. If he got more than that, what if he went to Ankara and got supported into Greece? What would you give him then? So yeah, C.
God, it's so hard to know because I have this theory about what might be going on. Really, if it is a long game and he's talking to everyone and isn't just, partying with the Ewoks in their little tree fort village, then it's actually not a bad move. I'm going to give it a B minus, but it's mostly because I don't know what's going on with him.
I've changed my grading scale. You get a C if you do competent moves. If you do something weird that's negotiation, like what happened in Munich, you start going up from diplomacy. So
yeah,
that's how I do it.
Good. I'll give you a C plus. I'll give him a C plus.
This is an A minus.
What would you do if you went to Ankara and got Greece?
Yeah.
Be like A plus plus plus.
Yeah. First of all, he's got his complete options open. He's got his Russian ally.
And he grounded.
I don't mind the fleet move to South Coast, although it generally sucks. But he can still take Ankara. Anytime you can, have a 33% increase in your forces, it's a good thing. That's what he did.
God, you're such a lawyer.
I like
one way to put it, I guess.
His pieces are in such low optimal position.
I don't know.
It's fine if you don't want to play a risk, which he doesn't need to, but that's just competent to me.
You guys, I might be misremembering, or is there some kind of weird thing about Nexus finals and parking fleets in Bulgaria?
Awful.
Yeah, there is. I
feel like for some reason people get to the finals and everyone wants just to rush into the port in Bulgaria and buy some drugs or
something. Russia's great.
Oof.
I'm gonna give him a D for disband.
God,
competent move set, but he ended up coming out with -1, so D.
It's tough. I mean, we gave him a really good grade last turn because he got Galicia and the Black Sea, which was good. But I think I can't say that I necessarily would have been able to anticipate what was happening. But I mean, Germany did move 2 fleets adjacent to Sweden. You've been very lightly defending the north while kind of low grade irritating both the other powers up there. I think he should have moved. I think that there should be an army in Moscow already. He has Galicia. You don't need Sevastopol. Just hold the line against Austria and kind of go go take care of your holdings up there. Now, I mean, if this plan between Austria and France actually goes forward, I mean, he could be in a lot of trouble next turn. There's an army in Smyrna, and threats against Armenia if France really goes all in with Austria and moves to Silesia. And you've got, Great Britain just crushing the North. Now, I think Ewok's too good diplomatically, and he'll manage to throw a wrench at one of those gears, but he's got to be working overtime right now. So I'll give him that retreat to Finland. It's got to be a D. He is probably going to disband it, I think, but it's a D.
The competent move set, but got a disband and a bad retreat. It's a D.
It's a C minus, gentleman C minus for me. I don't blame him for the loss to Sweden, but obviously it's not good. I didn't like the retreat. All right. Austria's grade.
I'm going to give him a D. I think he had great plans going forward, but none of them really panned out the way he was anticipating. I can't give him a fail because I can see kind of where he was going with it, but 2 disbands, it's not good.
So the grade encompasses both your ability to bring people into your vision, and your ability to execute that vision and the vision itself. And I do see his vision for the board, and I do think it was a good plan.
That's why I get to D. Tactically, it did not work out for him.
Yeah. He needs to learn. It's just diplomatically, it's a testament to his skill that he still is at 4 centers, with how much hostility he's garnering from his neighbors. However, if I'm right and he was trying to climb to Silesia or again to Galicia and then saw the writing on the wall and pivoted towards a supercharged Entente, it's a little bit panicky. Like, it might be a little early for that. But I love the chaos he's created. And frankly, I mean, if you look at it, can Russia afford to continue hostilities against him? If England and France are unbreakable, which is what, as Austria, I would be emphasizing to people, that they both wear Hawaiian shirts. They
do seem like an unbreakable alliance. I think doing whatever they can to blow them up and make them bigger threats.
Yeah, then Italy and Russia really do need you. They cannot afford to continue this war. Knowing Pez, though, I could even see him like letting them sweat a turn, like kind of turning them down, even letting the desperation kind of sink in a little bit more.
EVR kind of did the same thing, where he kind of just flailed around and pissed off everyone around him. not to the same quite a finesse, but it's very similar. Tragic mistakes in Bohemia.
Yeah, EVR was different. EVR had also convoyed back and forth across the Mediterranean a few times by now.
He said more entertaining, but yeah, still the flailing going on, pissing everybody off.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a B.
Wow.
Did I give him a grade?
Oh, wait. What's your grade?
I'll give him a B as well.
I think the air has to be back on. I think
but losing 2 centers, that sucks.
Yeah.
If I see the plan go on, but yeah, I can kind of see a plan, but it's got to work. I'll probably give him a better grade in future, but for this immediate, no, it's a D.
Italy's grade.
The only redeeming thing is that he poked at the Western Med, and because France didn't go as hard as he could by going to North Africa, it buys him a tiny bit of time.
I'm going to give Italy a D.
Yeah, I give him a D as well.
I think he should have supported Austria. He obviously lost his French ally, and not only did he lose his French ally, he's now antagonizing by going into West. I think he's burned all his diplomatic channels. He didn't even invite Turkey, who helped him into Greece.
No. I give him a D, but not because he burned any candles. I mean, France went into Venice. I give him a D.
But he could have. He helped France to get into Piedmont in the first place, so he asked him to. So
Yeah.
he obviously had a reputation or rapport with France, and he lost it somehow.
Well, the main thing I hate is grease holds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could have done anything. Could have got an ally either way.
So, but I think it presages, trying to use a word Hand would use, a budding AI relationship. I think they have to work together now. I wouldn't be surprised to see Austria and Bulgaria next year. Or maybe Italy makes a case for it, saying, I need to build against France. So we shall see on that front. We'll do an easy one. Germany's grade.
Do you trust Pez not to make himself hated, though? That's the problem. He's playing a masterful game, but not diplomatically.
No. Germany, gonna give him a D minus just because of the spiteful hit at Sweden for not helping him. I really like that. Because I would have attacked Russia a long time ago if he was just gonna sit there and let me die. I was like, I'm gonna die into you.
Yeah.
That's a very me thing to do. I'm a suicide player.
Well, I mean, especially after you built that second fleet, which was a big risk for you and really in Russia's favor. I wouldn't be mad. I mean, the fact that he went in with Denmark so the Baltic so that it couldn't be cut is kind of interesting. I mean, it does seem like I mean, Baltic is a nice tile to have, so I kind of understand if he did believe England.
At that point, I mean, I would believe anything anyone told me. I was like, screw it. It's better than just sitting here and dying.
I think that what this was an A in his mind, and then the turn adjudicated, and he realized to his horror that this is an F, and that he was just deceived all the way down to the depths of his soul.
I blame Austria. I think Austria really set up Germany for this fail.
Oh, definitely that too. Yeah, I think they all cooperated.
Like, I want to give Austria a lot of extra credit. I don't like the moves, but I think just the entire board was influenced by him.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely makes it way more interesting.
Your grade Hand.
That's an F.
I give an F minus minus. When you lose 50% of your forces, it's an F minus minus.
Oh, you're really into the stats today.
But I agree.
But 25% of Austria is not. Or third.
But I agree that that Germany thought he would see himself in Belgium. I think he may have agreed on Denmark.
Possible.
Yeah, to get a build. It was just that little slip. That was what it took. Just all around bad move, Dave. But I think you're in the position of you had to do something, but that wasn't going to do it. And the way you did it against Russia, I think, is pretty low. I don't think you're a low person. I think you're a person of good character. It's just, man, I know Russia could have done more to help you, but on the other hand, that's something you.
That's the way he plays. He keeps saying he'll help you, or, I understand, I'll do something soon, and then he just sits there and does nothing. I mean, it drove me crazy. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna kill you. I don't care if I die.
I've never played with them, but I will say that after years of Russia doing the exact same move in a way that's obviously pre-panned England, I mean, I would have hit my limit as well.
I mean, he held Warsaw. He could at least, gone to Silesia to help. But I don't know. He didn't do anything.
France is great.
Who? France?
France.
I love it. For me, it's an A. I like it a lot.
It's definitely an A, even though I still think I would have rather the army be part of the Mediterranean attack group and be taking Tunis next year. But that is more of an aesthetic choice than anything else. Yeah,
It's
Just
an
trying to
A.
get hold that line. So
It's
hard
an
to
A.
fault with anything.
And England's grade.
definitely an A.
Very strong A. Very strong A.
It's
Probably
an A+.
the best single move of the game so far, in my opinion.
I love England and Denmark, and having a fleet in Denmark is just great.
I mean,
A
God,
plus plus.
I mean,
A plus plus.
if he really wanted to take it to Russia and he prioritized taking the Baltic, and then you've got that convoy threat in there, and you know, I love having open centers behind me too. I actually think it's nice. It's if someone else takes it, you don't get a disband, but it's kind of yours in name. Really good.
I just want to go over the genius of the play because it didn't stem from this season. It was, if you look at it, he got Germany to move to Baltic in the spring. He set it up perfectly. Just couldn't ask for more. He's like, this is how we turn on France. This is how we do it. It would have sounded credible. It was credible. That's what makes the beauty of a stab is it seems credible. Hope is a dangerous drug, but I could see myself falling for this too, Dave. And it was just such a great play, Riaz. Such a great play.
And it's amazing.
Finally.
And they crushed Germany so badly too that there's not really that much of a threat, even if he does kind of unite with Russia now. No, it's good. He's basically secured the entire, northeastern part of the board with this move.
Okay, we asked this question at the end of every full season. Who will win Nexus Season 6 main event?
At this point, I'm looking at England's chances.
Yeah.
He keeps pumping out those fleets. Russia's weak in the north. Germany is pretty much not going to be a player anymore. France is a little preoccupied with Italy. England's got a good spot.
I mean, it's a little embarrassing because I did predict at one point that England would be the first to be eliminated. But now I predict that England will maybe win this. I do agree. He has a very clear path forward to securing the North. He'll probably be a bit more decisive than Russia about making sure it stays secured. The northern coast is very vulnerable to him. There's not really a threat from France right now. France is moving a bunch of armies into the middle of Europe, but there's also a huge cluster of Austrian and Russian armies in there too, which could very quickly load up against those German territories. Whereas I don't really see a challenge to naval supremacy at all, to England's naval supremacy. Yeah, I'm going to say England.
You can make a great case for England or France, but I'm going to go with Austria. That's not a joke.
Hope.
I know.
That's not a joke. I see a good path. And I think this dominant EF right now at 13 can still be stopped. And if you get Russia locked in the north and Italy locked against France, who's going to benefit from that?
I see the path as well. Turkey is going to be a wild card there, though. That could be a problem. I mean, like I said, England and France have as much as Russia, Austria, and Italy combined. And, even though I really like this new Pez, the old grandpa chameleon who tells you nice stories and about the nature of time instead of berating you about the Tour de France and like claiming that your mental health is expendable for the spectator sport of diplomacy. I'm not sure if this new Pez is working in terms of his charm and his ability to kind of affect the hearts of the people around him. I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith. I mean, he's tried everything. Do you really think he can pull these people together and make this work? I'm not entirely sure.
I think there are only two powers in the East with a chance, and the other, believe it or not, is Turkey. We saw Conk get to 7, I think, last season. If EF stab and Turkey just creeps up a little bit, I think it's harder. I think EF are obviously the favorites, but this is who I think will win. Right now, I'm going to go with Austria.
I like the pick a lot, I have to say. I'm almost jealous of it. My heart wants that to be true, but
I feel like he's gonna have to do like a power where it's just like opportunistic, take a center here, take a center there until it just grows at everyone else's cost. I don't think he's gonna do it through alliances.
I highlighted these comments here that were on Discord yet. They're already talking about it being a top board and the finals, and of course that does come into play. But one thing I can tell Dave Miletsky and Karthik, at least in the Nexus finals, is it's unlike a face-to-face top board where it is sort of a popularity contest. I think each of these players are going to try and do their absolute best to snake every center they can.
Yeah, it's weird. I was reading all this and I'm just like, wow, they're all into stabbing like immediately.
Yeah.
It's like I actually made a little photo. It's just like stab. That was all they wanted to see. And they're like, alliances being fluid and stuff. And I was like, there's a lot of people who like strong long-term alliances, especially in extended deadline press. There's a lot more to talk about, a lot more to bond over. When you have a gunboat or a quick move set, you kind of look for the most optimal moves at the moment. But doing that in extended press could actually get you a lot more malice towards you than you need.
Okay. Any other final words before we wrap it up? I'll take that as a no. Oh, hand?
No, that was an presaging, as you said earlier, a no. I have nothing more to say.
All right. And I know Keith always remains silent in these things. So anyways, thanks to diplomacybriefing.com for sponsoring us. Thanks to our players for making a fairly boring game a little more interesting. We don't want any more breaks. No one consults us on the breaks. No one consults the diplomats. I feel like we should be a part of whether or not we need a break or not. But right now, we're going to take a break from your listening pleasure, and we will see you back after the spring 1904. Good night, fellas.
Cool. See you guys.